Have you ever thought about how interdependence can change your life after 70? Let's dive into this concept. Interdependence, as it sounds, is the mutual reliance between two or more groups. In our context, it's about the symbiotic relationship between you, your loved ones, and your community, especially after you've hung up your work boots for good. Now, there's a common misconception that independence is the ultimate goal, particularly as we age. It's not wrong to desire independence, but absolute independence can lead to isolation. Isn't it better to share experiences, to learn from others, and to offer what we can in return? That's where interdependence comes in. It's about acknowledging that we all need each other to thrive, no matter our age. So let's debunk this myth together. Let's explore how some individuals have discovered the beauty of interdependence after 70. Scene script. Take the case of Mrs. Johnson, who at 72 discovered the power of interdependence. Allow me to introduce you to Mrs. Johnson, a spirited woman of 72, with a zest for life that is truly inspirational. After the loss of her loving husband, she found herself facing the world alone. It was a challenging time, but Mrs. Johnson soon discovered that she was not as alone as she initially thought. Her community, a vibrant mix of friends, neighbors, and local volunteers, stepped in to offer their support. They didn't treat her as a charity case, far from it. They acknowledged her strength, her resilience, and her ability to take care of herself. But they also recognized that everyone, at some point, could use a helping hand. As the weeks passed, Mrs. Johnson started participating in local community activities. She joined the neighborhood book club, participated in fitness classes at the local community center, and even volunteered at the weekly farmers market. These activities not only kept her busy, but also helped her form deep and meaningful connections with people around her. The emotional support she received was invaluable. Her friends were there for her, providing companionship and a listening ear when she needed it. When she felt lonely or overwhelmed, they were there to remind her that it's okay to lean on others. They helped her understand that accepting support does not mean giving up your independence. Mrs. Johnson never lost her self-sufficiency. She continued to live on her own, manage her finances, and make her own decisions. But she also learned to embrace the support of her community. She discovered that interdependence is not about dependency, but rather about mutual support and collaboration. It's about recognizing that we all have strengths and weaknesses, and that by supporting each other, we can lead richer, fuller lives. Mrs. Johnson's story shows us that interdependence can lead to a fulfilling and engaging life post-70. It's not about losing your independence, but rather about enhancing it through shared experiences and mutual support. So remember, it's never too late to embrace the power of interdependence, just like Mrs. Johnson did. Then there's the adventure of Mr. Smith, who at 75 embraced interdependence in a unique way. After bidding farewell to his career, he packed his bags and embarked on a journey around the globe. His travels were not about ticking off a list of destinations, rather they were about connecting with people. Mr. Smith was not a solitary traveler. He relied on the kindness of strangers, forging bonds that crossed cultural and geographical boundaries. He shared meals with locals, learned their languages, and even helped in community projects. This was not a man hiding in the comfort of familiarity, but rather one who embraced the unfamiliar with an open heart. His journey taught him, and us, that interdependence is not a sign of weakness, but a strength. It's about forming lasting relationships, gaining unique experiences, and understanding the world better. Mr. Smith's adventures remind us that interdependence can open up new horizons, even after 70. As we've seen, embracing interdependence after 70 can lead to rich, fulfilling experiences. Let's recall the journey of Mrs. Johnson, who found joy and renewed purpose in her daily interactions with her book club friends. And then there's Mr. Smith, whose adventure in the community garden not only brought him closer to nature, but also to his neighbors. These stories beautifully illustrate how interdependence isn't a sign of weakness, but rather a strength. It's about recognizing that we can lean on one another, that we can draw from the collective wisdom and experiences of those around us. And this is especially true after reaching the age of 70. Embracing interdependence is about acknowledging our need for others, and theirs for us. It's about community, companionship, and cooperation. It's about creating a life that's not just about surviving, but thriving. After all, we are social beings, and interdependence is part of our nature, at any age.